The DC Defenders complete the sweep of Mikey Manziel's Vegas Vipers in Audi Field. We remain undefeated inside the confines of Audi Field at the Navy Yard. That's something notable there. That crowd put on their hard hat. They went to work. I said they're not taking a week off of the beer snake just because it's a Sunday night in the rain at 7 o'clock. And they almost reached the top again. And they recycled this time. That's the DC way. So what about this game? We broke the news on Friday morning that the Vipers decided to part ways with offensive coordinator Dwayne Taylor. We got more insight from Mike Mitchell, who told us that it was a Rod Woodson decision. And I don't know. Like I said, to me, there's far worse offenses in this league. Orlando, Arlington, San Antonio, they've all been a disaster statistically. So I was surprised to see Taylor go first, but I'm sure it was more than we're reading into. I'm sure there was something that we don't know. The broadcast kind of choosing not to acknowledge it all that much. Ray Sherman, the veteran, did step in to call plays. He's had offensive coordinator experience in the NFL. But you wonder if Dwayne Taylor was watching out there, because the first play from scrimmage after his tenure, Brett Hundley fumbled a snap, and it came in low. I can't even blame Hundley for that. They got a backup center in there. But didn't look much better for Vegas, and that's credit to that DC defense. But interesting situation with Dwayne Taylor being let go. Vegas finding themselves in a hole less than 2 minutes in the game, like we said. Mikey highlighted Bailey Giffen, who he said was the best kicker in the league. I will say, Zook, Bailey Giffen and the rain go together like June Jones and 1-point conversions. Great combo. He missed right from 33, stayed on his feet this time at least, and after a solid 13-play, 60-yard drive, they end with 0 points. That chewed up over 7 minutes. It was a key drive for Vegas to get points out of. They didn't. Fadol Brown was on the IR for DC in weeks 1 and 2. He makes a huge play throughout the game. Big number 6 out there, the D lineman. And they pull Hundley, and it was all Luis Perez from there. Rod Woodson and Ray Sherman showing very little patience with Brett Hundley. I don't think it was an injury. Luis Perez back in there, and he ends up 23 of 32 for 283 yards, a score, and a pick. Actually had 2 scores, one late in the game. I thought he had a rushing TD at the end of the first half there too, but we saw what happened there. Rod Woodson flipped his lid after that 10-second runoff. Tough situation there, and I felt bad for this officiating crew because they ruled it a touchdown on the field. They said Perez was in. Immediately, Blandino gets brought into the broadcast and says, no, we have him short. So, can you imagine being the white hat in this situation? Blandino pops in your ear. He says, no, you're wrong. Actually, we're going to flip this. And because it's a 10-second runoff, the half is over. Good luck telling the NFL Hall of Famer who's already pissed off at you. Like, these guys are the front lines. We got to give some respect to these officials, man. Good luck. I mean, every decision that Dean Blandino makes from here on out is going to fall on them. And they're going to get the brunt of it from these coaches. And man, Rod Woodson was livid. But besides that, Perez actually had the best game statistically against the DC defense that any quarterback, including Ben DiNucci and A.J. McCarron, has all season. We gave you a stat line. Sinque Sweeting, massive game for the product from Slippery Rock. He's been a breakout star. Twice now, Sweeting cashes the over. He did it in week 1 with that late touchdown against Arlington. He does it again. That one killed me, by the way. At Arlington minus 2.5 back in week 1. Be 6-1 now. 7-1 if it wasn't for that. But Sweeting just doesn't give up out there. Tough, gritty guy, sitting in the press conference after the game in full pads. That's the kind of guy you want playing for you out of Slippery Rock. Couple notes on this DC offense. Jordan Ta'amu, 0 love in the early XFL MVP race. And I expected it to be that way. You hear Brandon Silvers and A.J. McCarron and Ben DiNucci. And you know what Jordan Ta'amu is going to do? He's going to end up being the Stetson Bennett of this DC Defenders title run. You know, Caleb Williams won the Heisman. That's all well and good. Stetson Bennett leaves with 2 national titles. Jordan Ta'amu doesn't need the accolades. Just won a championship. That's that DC mentality. You know what none of those guys I mentioned have done? Run for 98 yards. Actually, what do you have? 89 yards. So almost 98. We flipped the numbers. 89 yards, completed 74% of his passes during the game, and never took a sack. Those three guys haven't done that yet this season. That's impressive. And I'm telling you, it'll be hard to stop. The short pass was effective yet again for DC. We've been seeing that all year. Chris Blair emerging as wide receiver 1. I think he had 4 catches for 84 yards. This is back-to-back weeks where Blair has just been a huge target at Alcorn State for Reggie Barlow's squad. Jaquez Ezard redeems himself. He scores his first ever XFL touchdown, first ever touchdown as a pro as well. He fumbled the kickoff in the game, so that was a little bit of redemption. And looking at the offensive line, we know we didn't see too much of Raquel Armstead running behind them. He only had 4 carries. They mostly went with Abram Smith, who was a little underwhelming, but again, all that matters is you win. I think Smith had 58 on 22 carries. They got Jersey Mike Maietti back at center. He was the week 1 starter. He was injured against Seattle. And I noticed in the third quarter, they kind of paced Maietti with Bruno Reagan, that new addition up front. So might not be on a full snap count yet. Ty Clary was inactive yet again. TJ Stormont is now with the Guardians. So they've been rotating, but these 5 seem to be Hayes, Liam Ryan, Jersey Mike, Fornadell, and Kyle Murphy. That seems to be the 5 that they're going with for DC. So they can rotate Reagan in and out. They have a couple more guys that they picked up. Tony Garcia was traded for. So DC offensive line just hanging in there. Credit to Russ Ehrenfeld, the coach out there. And hopefully they can get Ty Clary back soon. But Alex Ellis also filled in very well as a tight end. He was an addition this week from the Arlington Renegades in that trade. And he had to step in right away because Ethan Wolf was out. So the DC Defenders, 4-0 and number 1 in our new XFL Power Poll.